be aware or may not be aware that I would say the start of religions in America have taken a lot from African spiritual systems, right? Like if you guys didn't know that, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, these religions have taken a lot from our African spiritual systems, right? And this is something that we need to know, right? Because I'm not saying don't be a religious person. Like if you are using religion to be a better person, if religion has gotten you out of a hard time, if religion has made you dedicate yourself to your family, like if that's the tool you had to use to get to where you need to be, I can't knock that. But sometimes I think we don't care about the origins of shit. We just do what feels good, right? Sometimes I think we do ourselves a disservice by not reading more. Like I'm not saying don't read the Bible, but read hella more books too, right? Read a lot of shit that has to do with us, opposed to just reading the Bible. You know what I mean? Yes, I say, sister, you damn right. You know what I mean? Because again, I'm not saying you got to put on no kufi and shove African ways of life down people's throat, but you should get in tune with where we come from. You feel me? So let me read an article that I found very interesting. An article that I found very interesting about our history, right? And about how religions have used our history. So, before modern technology, indigenous minds understood the mysteries of humanity and the universe. When you compare the philosophies and revelations of modern progressive thinkers and religions, you'll find far too often that indigenous minds of the ancient world had already knew and understood the mysteries modern minds are just discovering. Now, this is information that's being taken, just so you know, from Dr. Ben Yosef Ben Yaakobin. I think I said his last name right. Sorry about that, family. Dr. Ben, basically, he stated this information in African origins of the major Western religions. And he is stated, and just so you know, Dr. Ben is a master teacher of ancient and contemporary history, researcher and author. He would do lectures as well. So if you're not aware of who Dr. Ben is, please go on YouTube, look him up. One of our ancestors that you should know about, right? He quoted that the whole concept of a god or gods came out of the Nile Valley African civilizations thousands upon thousands of years before Sumner. Now, Sumner, which is the birthplace of who the Bible calls Abraham, Sumner or Summer is known in the biblical book of Genesis as Shinar, right? In the book, he highlights African influences and roots and proves that the major religions of the West, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, have African origins. Due to the massive catalog of information provided by Dr. Ben's research in African origins of major Western religions, I'll give you a few points from that book just to give you something to think about, right? Now, the concept of a spirit world can be found in most traditionally indigenous African religions, especially before exposure to the Caucasian European colonization of indigenous territories. The concept of good and evil spirits, ancestors, and omens are found in most traditionally indigenous African religions. Western religions explain this phenomenon with terms like angels or demons. Think about this. Moses of the Bible, as well as everyone else in the Bible, was no doubt an indigenous African man, right? Sacrificial drinking, libations, was a part of ancient indigenous spiritual practices and still is practiced by traditional indigenous religions. Christians drink wine for the Holy Communion. Jewish rabbis drink wine on the Sabbath, right? Elements of voodoo, this is something I want to hit because in 1804, Haiti used voodoo to overthrow these white armies that they had to get off their ass, right? Because in American society, they make you think voodoo was something spooky and evil when it was actually how we spoke to our ancestors. You feel me? So, elements of voodoo or voodoo can be seen in the black church. Despite the deculturalization of indigenous minds by European colonizers, there remains an unconscious reflex to spiritual stimulation by way of chants, distant tones, harmonies, and rhythms, music, right? What, a couple more things before we move on. But this is important, family. If you have family members who are religious people, I would tell someone religious, because everybody who I know who is religious aren't necessarily open for these kind of conversations. But I would tell anybody I know that's religion or that's religious, because I'm not a religious person by no any means, by no means. Why practice a religion that was given to you, right? If you're clear, or if you understand by reading and researching that Christianity, Judaism, Islam is taking bits and pieces from African spiritual systems, why not just go to the source? Think about that. Think about that. If you just knowing how Western society is and how everything has been fucking stolen from us, why would any of us think religion is any different? You see what I'm saying? So why even go through that? How about you do your own research and come up with your own conclusions to tell it instead of living and dying by a Bible? When name a book. Think about this. Name a book that anybody lived and died by, right? We read books, get information out of them, and move forward with that information to seek further information and keep going. I think the Bible should be treated the same way, right? Living and dying by the tenements in the Bible, I don't really think that's a good idea, because if we're talking about spiritual systems, if we're talking about knowledge, Bible is like a, if you stop at the Bible, meaning if and this is my opinion, family, if you're reading about spiritual systems, if you're reading about religion and where all of this stuff comes from, right? The Bible, if you stop at the Bible, you're like a fucking fourth grader, right? It continues to get deeper and deeper and deeper, and it's up to you to kind of do the knowledge, especially if you're an African person. That's my opinion. Let me continue. The Ten Commandments are originally from the Book of the Dead, the hymn of adoration of the god Osiris, negative confessions. You know what I mean? So again, a lot of these things that we have in the Bible was just remixed and represented to our people. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate because, and I have to say this, or I wouldn't be keeping it 100. A lot of religious people I know, they seem more conflicted than regular people. Like, I don't even see, because if, okay, let's say you are a devout Christian. All the tenements in the Bible, most, not all, I know Christian people who live and die by what they say in the Bible, and they're good people through and through. I do know some. I do know some. But most are more backstabbing than regular people I know, spread more rumors than regular people I know, aren't as quick to help somebody in need more than other people I know. Just the way in which they express their Christianity is deflating to me. Like, it doesn't make me want to join. Like, Christianity does not have some good representatives. You know what I mean? But anyways, another thing I want to read. Osiris was one of many to be considered the one true God, thousands of years before Christianity existed, right? The book of Proverbs in the Bible was not written by Solomon. They are from the teachings, collection of poetry and songs of Amen Op, a pharaoh king, basically. So the whole point, family, shit, is this freezing up? I think it is freezing up. So the whole point, family, is I'm not telling anybody to divorce the religion that they become accustomed to, but I'm just saying be a critical thinker, right? I'm just saying be a critical thinker in the face of all these things that we have going on. That's all I'm saying. Be a critical thinker, because again, I used to, when I initially learned about a lot of these things, I was pretty hard on Christian people that I knew. I was just upset, you know what I mean? Because I felt like I was lied to. I felt like my family didn't necessarily give me the full gambit. Because again, right, we as black people sometimes grow up in a household where we're Christian. Well, what if you were Asian what if you were Asian? What if you grew up and your family was Muslim, or your family was, you know what I mean? You would be something different. So you're actually, excuse me, a lot of us are just taking on the traditions of our family, opposed to saying, okay, this sounds good, and I see some positives in this way of thinking, but maybe it's not for me. Maybe I should do my own research to realize that this is something I really want to follow. That's all I'm saying. Let's all try our best to be critical thinkers, and after that critical level of thought, you decide that religion is for you, then so be it. You know what I mean? All right, so let's keep everything moving.